The recession is coming. The recession is coming. Is this the year of the recession? 2024? I'm Nate. I'm the FitFutureMD. Upload every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Pick up that free copy of the nutritional workout guide in the description below if you're interested in how I lost 40 pounds. I'm the owner of Ensorsale, Ensorsale's family. Together we rise up from humble beginnings to inspire others all over the world with the messages on our t-shirts. Wear your inspiration today and use code FitFutureMD for 20% off. So, everybody and their mother has been hinting recession, right? That we actually had a recession in 2022, right? 2 consecutive quarters of decreased growth in the S&P 500. That's considered a recession, right? And even if it was only down 0.5%, it's still down, right? So that was technically a recession. The likelihood that another recession happens in the 18 months after a recession is usually very small, right? Usually bull runs are like, a recession is usually 18 months, right? So if you have a recession starting in 2022, 18 months, recession ends in 2023, and then you have a 2 to 5 year bull run, right? That's usually how it goes. Like I say, there's Fed interference now a lot more than, back in the day where, we literally had a recession because of Fed interference, right? The Feds increased their rates at a really fast rate and, trying to stop runaway inflation, right? And you can see runaway inflation, every day. Like, we go to the grocery store now, and if you include steak and chicken, in your, your cart, you're going to be spending $200, easily, right? If you get a bunch of meat, right? But, we're sitting there like under 200. Like, can we get out under 200 now? Like, when, I used to buy the same products and get out for $50, right, in college. So, we've already 4x'd, since I was 19 years old, in 20 years, 4x'd in 20 years, right? So inflation is slowly stealing people's money, right? It's called the silent tax. And, well, what did people do? What are the trends that people were seeing, that we're seeing, that would say, oh, well, there's another recession coming? Well, number one is there is a big group of people that are never going to start paying back their student loans. They said, screw it, we're just going to have bad credit. Like, I'm in a state where they can't, garnish my wages. So they're just going to say, screw it, and not even pay their student loans, right? They can't afford to, supposedly, right? That's number one. Number two, you're seeing a big increase in credit card expenditures, right? So even me, we bought an air conditioning unit for the house and windows for the house. That was $22,000, right? And, so 8,000 of it went on a credit card, right? And we paid it off the next month, right? Or, so we bought it in December, paid it off in January, this month, today actually, the 5th. And, but on paper, it looks like I, used more of my credit card expenditures, right? But, really I paid it off, luckily, because, we're lucky enough to have the money to do all that. But a lot of Americans, still went ham on Christmas, right? So, they ran up credit cards to do that, right? And, maybe they pay it off throughout the year, spend less. Maybe they're making more to do that. That's the $1 million question, right? As long as we, like I say, you're seeing a lot less jobs being offered out there. not a lot, but you're seeing a decreased number, right? So you're seeing a decreased number of jobs being offered. You're seeing an increase in unemployment. You're seeing the Fed saying, hey, we may cut rates next year, which I think them saying that basically prevented a recession already, right? Because, people think that if they cut rates that people will start buying houses again and kind of, say, but say the housing market's been hot, since 2018, because they're letting more people buy houses, right? If you only have to put down 5% on 4 units, more people are going to be trying to do that, right? And if your interest rate is lower, more people are able to do that, right? So, you may have had to make $100,000 a year to be eligible for a median-sized house. Now you have to make, if the interest rates go down, you only have to make 80. You're putting a lot more people in there that can buy things, right? And that's part of the American dream. Everybody wants a home, right? There's a big section of the population, especially 18 to 25, that are saying, I don't even want a house, right? I've seen, and I felt that way a little bit too, because I saw my father, spend most of his time on weekends and stuff, taking care of the yard, washing cars, fixing things on the house, and that was a lot of what his time was spent doing, where I'm trying to take my time and build a business, right? While I'm working, right? So, me personally, I try to decrease the amount of maintenance on a home as much as possible, right? So I'm spraying weeds, I'm not pulling weeds by hand, I'm chopping trees out of as soon as we bought the house, the trees are gone, right? So they're not going to be throwing leaves all over my yard where I'm raking leaves, Also, they're not going to fall on my house in a hurricane, stuff like that. I'm not mulching my my garden beds and all that mess, where you have to replace that shit every year. Not doing that, right? It's gonna, whatever falls down there is what falls, right? So twice a year I cut the bushes, every 2 weeks cut the grass, pressure wash the house twice a year, and that's pretty much it for maintenance, right? Oil, WD-40, some squeaky things but if it breaks, it's getting completely replaced, right? We're not trying to make things last longer than they need to last, right? Where I'm having to fix it all the time, right? So that's just adjustments people are making, right? iPhone 15 comes out, we're not buying the iPhone 15, right? I'm gonna stick with my iPhone 12 probably till the iPhone 17, right? Unless they come up with a 6G, because I got the first phone with the 5G capability, unless they come out with a 6G that my phone can't have, pretty much gonna be on the 12, for that amount of time, right? So, and that's how people are going to adjust, right? And then when people adjust that way, where they're not buying new things, they're wearing last year's clothing, they're not, buying new clothes, or, or they significantly decrease their budget for clothes, or they don't buy as many clothes because the clothes cost more, But this is why everybody's saying, oh, there's got to be a recession coming. There's got to be a recession coming. Well, I don't think people realize how much money $7 trillion is, right? They put $7 trillion into our economy, right? And, that was more money than, I think, the last 200 years of our, economy, right, being thrown in there. $7 trillion is a lot of money, right? That's a big old stimulus. And I think this stimulus is going to continue to go on. Like I say, I think if they're gonna bring interest rates down, so all this debt this year can just be refinanced and everything be okay. That's what I think. Now, does that mean we end up in a recession where we're down 1%, 2% for 2 quarters? Probably, absolute probably. That's going to be considered our recession, right? And there are going to be people that get caught up and can't refinance in time, and by the time the drops come, or the banks don't give them extensions until the drops come, that kind of thing. I think you may see people that just give up their cars, and say screw it, but all in all, I think, saying this is not financial advice or anything, it's just what I'm feeling. I think the stock market probably has a -1 or 2% year, right? And they call it stagflation or whatever. And, so that may be that we get a run of 10% and then we drop 18% and then we come back up 6%, right? That's kind of like how I'm seeing things play out. Like, people are going to be fearful, or people are going to be excited because, people are going to be excited because the Fed lowers rates, right? Which is kind of what's happening now. We had this huge bull run in December, right? Hopefully y'all took advantage of that like I did. Thank you, Bank of America. Thank you, Citibank, JP Morgan. But yeah, so you're going to see those come down, so you'll see that, rise. And then, when that kind of still causes people to be foreclosed on, go into bankruptcy, stuff like that, you'll see a drop, and then there'll be some other catalyst probably closer to the election time that'll bring us back up and keep us around the 2% mark loss for the year probably. And that'll be, what's considered a recession, and, what they'll consider it to be a soft landing, right? But it's still unlikely that we actually end up in recession or 2 consecutive quarters, just because we had a recession in 2022, right? And say usually you're not going to see that recession until 2025, 26, right? But it's not impossible. The S&P 500, some are going to drop out, some are going to come back up. Like I say, you got Walgreens dropping their dividend, down $5 in a day type deal, because they dropped the dividend. But they didn't completely cut it, so they're not going to get cut from ETFs and go to zero like Lumen did, but not zero, but like $2. But so this is what I think. I think there, like I said, I think there's not going to be this deep recession that people think is coming, this big, huge drop. But it'll look like a big drop to everybody because we're up right now. Like they say, we're going to drop rates, everything goes up, and then if it drops more than it went up, that's going to look like a big dip, but it's really not, this crazy deep recession that people think is coming, right? Like I say, every recession is opportunity, so you find deals out there. That's what I'm going to do. Let me know any questions you have in the comments below. Shop at Ensorsale.com. Share the video with somebody that needs it, that's crazy thinking there's a recession coming. Maybe you can get them to calm down, stop watching the news. But we'll see you in the next one. Peace.